Hi, I'm Senator Joe Markley here at the state capitol. It's just before Thanksgiving, and of course, there's a lot of news I want to bring you up to date on. Happy Thanksgiving. You may well be receiving this email about that time of year, and I hope you're enjoying yourself, and I won't ruin I'm not ruining your holiday with state concerns. But there are things to be concerned about, as you're probably aware. Suddenly we have a new budget forecast which shows a dramatic shortfall in revenues. And I received a letter from the governor concerning that when I came home yesterday. And I just wanted to talk about that letter a little bit, which I have right here. It's interesting, the governor sends these letters out flat with a piece of cardboard behind them, so if I want to afterwards, I guess I could frame them. It's very impressive. I also have to say that it's a very nice piece of stationery. I make you this promise that should I be elected governor, I will not put a gold leaf seal on my stationery. But let me just talk a little bit about what he says in this letter. Some of you know I was an English professor of sorts and an English teacher at times, and I can't help deconstruct things a little bit. And I think this one is worthy of deconstruction, in part because it sheds some light on where we stand as a state and how serious we've been about tackling our problems. It says, Dear Senator Markley, as you know, I'll stop right there and say something. If there's any children, impressionable youth listening, as you know is not the best way to start a letter. I mean, the theory is if you know something, you don't really need or want to be told it. But this is how we start. As you know, there's been a lot of attention paid over the past week to our state budget. There's been a lot of attention paid over the past week to our state budget. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that I don't remember a time in my life when I wasn't paying attention to the state budget, let alone this last week. What we found out is not a matter of how much attention has been paid to the state budget in the last week. What has happened in the last week is we've discovered that we went from a $60 billion shortfall in the current year's budget before the election to just a few days later a $365 million deficit. It's not a matter of attention, and there's nothing mysterious about it. It's happened because our state government is fessed up to the point that we are out of money and running well behind. As you know, there's been a lot of attention paid over the past week to our state budget. We're writing to you to put that discussion into context as we address our current shortfall. Into context. I wonder, what does the governor mean by putting it into context? Let's see what he says. About 2 years ago, we inherited a state budget that had a structural deficit of approximately $3.65 billion. Aha. Context is to say, what did Jody Rell do? What did John Rowland do? I'm waiting for them to blame this all on John Dempsey. Okay, about 2 years ago, $3.65 billion. Let me say that the number $3.65 billion, to my mind, has never been raised before, to my recollection. It's a convenient number which happens to be just 10 times as big as the number that we're talking about. But remember, $3.65 billion, or whatever the number actually was a 2-year shortfall in the budget. What we're talking about is a shortfall in this current year's budget as we go forward. Today, 22 months later, our current budget shortfall is $365 million. That's 1/10 of what it was. Well, in other words, 90% of the problem it took 20 years to create has been wiped out in a little more than 20 months. That's a lot of progress to have been made in a fairly short period of time. That's a lot of progress to have been made in a fairly short period of time. That is the worst sentence to have been written in a letter that I've received from a governor, but we'll leave that aside. Let me say that the problem of 20 years has certainly not been solved. We're $365 million short in the current year's budget. What is never mentioned anywhere in this letter is the fact that we're $1.1 billion short in next year's budget as projected, and $1.1 billion short in the following year's budget. So to my mind, nothing has been solved. And until we have a robust economy, again in Connecticut, there is no solution. Everything else is just shifting things around. Let us also be clear that the number, $365 million, is likely to change in the coming months. It might go down if revenues pick up. It might go up if they don't. Let me tell you how I would bet on that question. Well, I won't tell you. But here's one thing we want everyone to hear. We will end the current fiscal year with a budget that is balanced, a budget that is balanced honestly. I have to say, I wonder if he's talking about two budgets, the budget that's balanced and the budget that's balanced honestly. And we'll do that without raising taxes. We'll present a plan to do that in the coming weeks. I can't wait. So, context one is, I inherited the problem. Context two, a lot of people are asking, why is this happening? Why is a budget that isn't even 5 months old already experiencing a shortfall? It's a good question. It's happening here for the same reason it's happening in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, and a host of other states. A sluggish recovery at the national level means many states are experiencing declining revenues, and many people who didn't need it all of a sudden suddenly need Medicaid, where all our costs have subsequently and unexpectedly skyrocketed. So context two is, it's a problem everywhere. The governor says none of this is unique to Connecticut. It's happening across the country. Well, not really across the country. It's happening here more than it's happening anywhere else. And it's happening in the big spending states of the Northeast more than it's happening anywhere else. Finally, we touch on one more paragraph. But let us make one other very important point. Despite the challenges we face, tremendous opportunities exist for us to continue to help create private sector jobs. Tremendous opportunities exist for us to continue to enhance educational opportunities for everyone from a child who needs a pre-kindergarten learning experience to an unemployed manufacturing worker looking to be retrained. And tremendous opportunities exist for us to make smart decisions to improve our infrastructure while continuing to put people to work. I can't help but think that that last one, smart decisions about improving our infrastructure while continuing to put people to work, is a reference to that favorite subject of mine, the busway. As to whether it's a smart decision or not, once 2015 comes around and the busway is open, we can see whose brain was working best on that, the governor's or myself. I will say what is the most troubling to me about this, though, is despite the challenges we face, tremendous opportunities exist for us to continue to help create private sector jobs, i.e. corporate welfare, crony capitalism, more of these tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars being given to corporations that are well connected, that can write the rules to work for them. Folks, this is exactly the wrong direction for our state to go in. The governor says, it's clear that we have a long ways to go to get to where we want to be, but it's just as clear we're headed in the right direction as evidenced by the progress we've made. We have no intention of stopping now, nor should you. I'm happy that the governor doesn't want me to stop, because as long as he's going in the direction he's going in, I'm going to do all I can to try to pull this state the other way, and to make clear that there are many people in this legislature and throughout the state that think that we're on the wrong track. I look forward to keeping you posted on these and other issues. Again, best wishes for a happy holiday. I will be back up here in December when I expect to have a special session on this very topic of the $365 million shortfall. I'll try to keep you posted, and I'll try to do my best to make sure that we don't waste all the money that we're taking out of your pockets. Thank you.